Hello again, everyone. It's Nicole D'Angelo for another State of the Game vlog. It's been about 9 days since the announcements at CitizenCon, and I've been thinking real hard about what my position is on the game after that. They did show off quite a bit, and I needed to remind myself that the reason that I got into Star Citizen in the first place wasn't the persistent universe, it was Squadron 42. I think the biggest announcement there was that they're well on their way to actually releasing that, well, the first 10 episodes, sometime in 2015. And every 3 months after that, they'll release another, episode, which will have 10 missions in it. So that was quite a spectacular thing that was bestowed upon me, one of the people that came here for Squadron 42. However, over a year has gone by, and I've come to pretty much love the idea of the persistent universe. So while I can't wait to play Squadron 42, I'm actually longing to live, breathe, sleep, and be in this Star Citizen universe, virtually, of course. So last Monday, after I actually did my State of the Game, they released this video that shows a constellation jumping into system, and then, well, it's kind of choppy for some reason. So jumping into system, and then setting up for landing on the planet. It's at this point I started to realize just how big, how vast this universe is going to be, and how long it's going to take to model it. So while Squadron 42 is going to come out and we're going to get that gorgeous campaign that's going to have 50 hours of play in it, we're not going to see the virtual universe, the persistent universe, for quite some time. And that has me pause and start thinking about the aggressive ship sales and scheduling that CIG has been under for the last 6 or 8 weeks. Now I know $52, $58, $59 million is not enough to run a company like this for a year. And if you ask me or look at me and say I'm crazy, I'm not. They have to secure places to shoot. They have to hire people. They have to pay for all different things. And of course, they have to get ready to have servers online and pay for bandwidth. So I think the development cost of this game is going to start pushing upwards as they keep adding more and more and more to it. Now, I believe they can get the game finished with what they have. But with recent moves, with the logistics of the company, I believe that they're setting up for this to be a huge project. And let me give you the for instance. And I'm going to stop the Persistent World demo and then start talking again. So recent moves have taken all ship development and moved them into Santa Monica. Foundry 42 is responsible for Squadron 42 and assets for the player universe. Austin is responsible for the player universe, so the planetside module, the first-person shooter, and the persistent universe, and assets for Squadron 42. Santa Monica is there with the head writers, lead writers like Will, and of course David Haddock, and other people that are responsible for the production, and the ship team that's going to support both of the other ones. And then you have Behavior, Turbulent, and Redacted, and Moon Collider, all putting assets into both of those main studios. So by separating this out, it gives a much more streamlined approach to getting this game built. And why would a company do that? Well, they do it because they would do it after realizing just how much they have on their plate. Now, this isn't a duh moment. I think many of you could have figured that on your own, right? Because they don't come right out and tell you whys or what fors, and I feel like they kind of should. And this is my point, and I'm going to bring it all together now. We're investing a lot of money in this game. And when we see things like this, the persistent universe, as something to come, and then realize how far off it is, are you really seeing the return on investment, ROV, right? Is it coming into play? For me, it is. But I don't think I'm going to start I don't think I'm going to be putting a lot more money into the game as far as ships go. Then the main reason for that is I'm not going to be able to use them for 18 months, but I'm sure many people are. I think that the $600 price point for ships, the $350, the $400, they're catering to the people that are fanatics, and let's take that word away, not fanatics, dedicated backers that believe in Chris and Cloud Imperium games so much that they'll just throw money at him until they get the game that they want. Now that is a great thing, and it's bad in some ways. I'm going to break here and just talk about this right here. This auto dock feature is actually pretty cool, and when I first heard about it, I was a little bit perturbed about it, that I wanted to fly down to the surface and land. And then I remembered something that's going on in general aviation, like with Cessnas and Pipers and Malls and things like that, where they're actually trying to build in a system that would potentially be able to auto land you. And then I remembered when I was in the Navy back in the 80s and 90s, the F-18 had an emergency button that you could hit and auto land just like this. It's pretty cool. So why would you want to auto land? Well, we're going to break here so we don't break the immersion of this game. Auto landing enables one entirely 100% needed aspect of flying in the future with such congested airspace. It's safety. So you could have a computer-controlled landing that would keep the separation of ships so they don't crash into each other. But being able to land on an uncharted planet is something I hope happens in the future. But this, I'm actually pretty psyched about and pretty happy that they implemented it the way they did. No cutscene. Well, it is a cutscene in reality, but you're actually sitting in your seat and seeing the things going by you. Very excited about that and very happy that they did this. So back onto the topic. The main thing that I'm worried about now is putting all this money up front without any real return on investment. And that's because the game isn't going to be able to be played the way we want to play it for almost 2 years. Yes, Squadron 42, the piece that I long for, is going to be out before that. But to fly in this manner, where it actually means something, where it's not an alpha or a beta, is a long way away. And that's something that is kind of trying on my... It's getting under... I'm not getting upset, I'm not getting perturbed, I'm not losing faith. It's just I can't stomach spending the money anymore, and I shouldn't. So what I think they really should be working on right now is trying to enhance the play styles, enhance the maps, and enhance Arena Commander, so while we are waiting, we have something to do and something that's fun and feels like it's a return on investment. And I also think that they should start catering to new backers. Yes, the Mustang, 5 variants of the Mustang that is, are coming out soon. But I think there needs to be more of that. And I know all this is coming. A new website. But the ships that they're creating now, while they're important to the universe, they need to start diversifying the lower end ships, the ones that are from $40 to $100. Right now you have Mustang 300 series, and you have the Aurora. That's it. I think there needs to be 2 or 3 more ship types in that price range, and there needs to be a pirate starter ship for people that want to get in at the $40 to $50 to $100 price point, so they have a more diverse selection of ships, and that might draw in, more backers at that level. Now, I'm not being this elitist and I'm not being this anti-elitist. I have a lot of ships because A, I do this show, and B, I got a little out of hand for a while. But I'm starting to look at things more objectively now. And although I trust Chris and CIG to deliver on their promise of this game, I think it's time for me to start trusting my gut and saying, hold back a little bit. Yes, buy ships so you can review them and take care of the channel, but don't let your wallet get taken advantage of by all the things that they're trying to sell early. Buy the ones that you could review and put in your hangar now. I really need something to do when this game goes live. Let's go back to the persistent universe and talk about a few other things. Here's the piece of the persistent universe that we've been all dying for. to be able to fly down to the planet, get out, and then go about our way. And this is what they're going to deliver on eventually. The piece where I said this was going to be vast and started making me think was there's going to be 100 planets. 100 planets that are going to be uniquely fleshed out. And I know that Chris has one of the stretch goals as being that they can do some kind of automatic generation of some of the planets. But this is something that needs to be done for most of the planets in a huge way. Moscow, London, Beijing, New York. I mean, these are just some of the landing zones that are on Earth. Terra Prime and a number of other ones are going to be modeled on Terra. And this is ArcCorp, which is on, well, one of the planets in Stanton. I guess this will tell us where we are. Is going to be modeled, as are some other places. So you've got to look at this and start multiplying it by a factor of God knows what. And that means that these artists have to create the detail, all of the spaces over the next 2 years. And I think that's going to be a very, very big task. And I think that's why they did the realignment that they've done. And if you didn't catch that, again, what they've done is move ship design over to Santa Monica. Persistent universe development is now mostly being what's done in Austin. And then, of course, you have the Squadron 42 game being done in Foundry 42 in Manchester, England. And then every other studio is kind of helping to create assets and support those three main places. This is pretty cool. This is like customs. You come through here, they scan you for weapons and lynch fever, I guess, and some other things. So I'm pretty impressed by this. But something I'm going to put in here in just a few minutes impresses me the most. So let's get off into here, and then let me talk about why this game is different from the rest and why it has me so incredibly excited after watching some of these demos. This is Aaron, and he was talking about Moon Collider and how they're helping to create a totally new and immersive world with the AI that they create in their studio. Now, Moon Collider is another studio that is helping to support both the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. In the demo that they gave, they talk about not using scripted paths for the AI, whether they be in ships or be in the Persistent Universe walking around. When I played Wing Commander back in the day, you would get used to the maneuvers that the ships did. A Drothi would always go forward, flip around, and come at you. There were different maneuvers for each one of the ships, but you got used to it and then were able to predict where they were going to go, and it made killing them easy. Here, they're building a living, breathing human being into the ships and having them do the things that an actual human being would do to a point. And it's making the game harder, but definitely much more immersive. In this demo, they're showing that they have all these target zones for this guy to come in. He finds one of the target zones, he sits down. He becomes a target zone for whatever the bartender, waiter, or waitress is going to be. They come over and then talk to him, and then they go back to probably a kitchen, grab a tray, bring it out here. The Persistent Universe NPCs are going to live lives. They're going to have homes, they're going to go to work, they're going to go to a coffee shop, they're going to write on walls, they're going to beat people up, they're going to get stopped by cops, they're going to go to jail. There's things that are being built into here that aren't in any of the other MMO spaces. When you look at things like Star Wars The Old Republic, Lord of the Rings Online, World of Warcraft, EverQuest, the NPCs are scripted to do one thing. They're always standing in the same place, they always have the same dialogue selections, and they always do the same thing. In this situation, it's going to be a living, breathing, more immersive world. Why am I excited about this? Because I want to feel like other people are in the game when I'm not around them, and if there are 100 planets and many stations and many places to visit in them, you're whether there's 600,000 people in the game or not, you're going to feel a little bit lost at times. You're going to feel a little bit disconnected. And with the real world giving you that sense of immersion, it's going to be a much better game. So I'm going to close this one out because I don't want to go to like 30 minutes today. I think that one of the things that I'm trying to put out here is that CIG is getting a little bit aggressive towards marketing to the dedicated backers, and that's the word I'm going to keep. And what I think that's doing is it's probably going to lose the multitude of people that want to come in and support the game because they don't see that support coming to them. I want to believe that I can get enough money to get an 890 jump in the game. Just like I want to believe that someday I could be a millionaire. And I know that that's possible, but I don't know if that's probable. What I do know is possible is that if I was coming into this game, I'd be able to get an Aurora, a 300i, 325A, or a Mustang. And I'd love to see a much more diverse set of ships in that price range. And that's where I think that state of the game from a few weeks ago has brought me to. So here we are looking at the persistent universe for the last time before I say goodbye. And it's just pretty awesome, isn't it? And this is why I just talked about all the things I did. This is what I want to be able to do. I just landed. Now I need to go find maybe a modulator of some sort. I come into this store. And I go and I talk to the guy who I might have talked to 100 times and built a reputation up with. And I'm going to go buy the part I need for my ship. And I think that that is going to be what separates this from every other game that's out there today. Chris is really on the cutting edge. And even though there's been some attrition on the staff, some big names, which we won't go into, I still believe that this game is going to follow its path. And I don't know what the time schedule is, so I don't know if it's going to be released on your time schedule or if it's just going to come out when it's supposed to come out, which is when it's done, which is all I want. In the meantime, I think that more focus has to be put on attracting new backers into the game and giving those of us that are here something to do other than fly around in the same ships. And I think that's going to come in a big way over the next year. But I just want to know up front, what do you all think? Where do you think the game is going? Do you think I'm on track? And if you do, comment below. As always, there'll be a Hangar Flair contest in this video. For this Hangar Flair contest, I want you to send me an email to theaddictedgamer@gmail.com. The subject field I want to read very specifically, Hangar Flair contest, and then just SOG, state of the game, SOG 6. Okay? So Hangar Flair Contest SOG 6 is what I want in the email. And I'll pick a piece of Hangar Flair, and it will probably be the M50 model again, unless I think we should do another locker. Nope, let's do another locker. We will give away another locker. And that brings us to the end of this episode. If you liked the episode, remember to click the thumbs up below. If you haven't subscribed, please think about subscribing, as you'll be able to get notifications of all my videos. And if you feel like you want to support the channel, please head on over to patreon.com/Batgirl. That's patreon.com/Batgirl. And with that said, guys, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.